Hello everybody and welcome back to week 3 of our Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers Overwatch broadcast. We have just seen some fantastic games today. Sleek, I am Seth White Ninja, joined here, as I just barely mentioned, Sleek in the caster's booth instead of Zader. He is not here today. What do you think about the last match that we just finished watching between Arizona State University and UCLA?
UCLA scares me.
They are intimidating.
I'm going to wake up in the middle of the sleep I don't get tonight, screaming, oh my god, I just had this dream that Raxa joined one of my ranked games and I ruined
and
it
that
all.
Was it. Yeah, no. I mentioned this before. I'm a damn good Tracer player myself, and I wouldn't want to go up against Raxa. I've seen him just like blind prediction where the blink's happening, one-shot Tracer in the head. I'm just like, nope. Nope, you can take the W on that one, fam. Like, I'm done.
Or you say that, but I've also heard you say in between matches, you think ASU here is one of the teams that can challenge UCLA.
In my opinion, absolutely. ASU is probably, I'm not quite sure yet because we haven't seen these two teams go up against each other, but I think ASU is the team to beat UCLA. They are more than capable. They are the other team in the South Division bracket that works together as a team. They've got team synergy. They know the compositions, as we've mentioned. They have been a team for years now. They work really, really well together, and they are going to be more than a challenge for UCLA. I would actually give them a little bit of a favor moving into the matchup that they may or may not be having with them. However, today, it looks like it's actually going to be Arizona State versus Oregon. A team that we've seen before. They faltered a little bit. How do you think they're going to be doing this week, Sleek?
Well, they do have some stiff competition. We just talked about how solid Arizona State was. They're one of the teams to beat. At the same time, if Oregon wants to really step up to the plate, redeem themselves for last week, say, hey, we're one of the teams who can actually win this, taking on Arizona State's a damn good start.
Oh, yeah. Oregon, one of the teams that we had talked about before previously, if we can get a look at the players right here specifically so you guys can see specifically what I'm talking about, but Oregon, their teams individually, they are really, really, really good, but the characters their team synergy rather with the characters that they choose falters. They're similar to Arizona State University, the team we just barely finished playing, that on an individual level, they're really good, but when they get together as a team, they just need to work together more, and then they can do great, great things.
Well, let's go ahead and look at our matchups here. So, Oregon, one of those teams that will have a chance to develop and grow over the PACG to get some more experience. Now, their roster, as depicted on the left, they're led by RoboCrab, Chung, Eric, and Evans. Oh, a whole lot of flex here. Is this a team of gymnasts?
Basically. I mean, this is one of the things that defines Oregon. They are not set up into specific roles. Everybody plays everything.
Still didn't get quite the chance to mention Davum and Kerfluffle here, the only players with actual designated roles on their team. Well, we'll see how they stack up.
Yeah, Kerfluffle, she is such a good job on healing as well as RoboCrab and Chang. I've seen those two play tanks. They've switched off a couple of times, but their substitute players were the two people that we actually saw last week, the Meninist and Tate the Great. Those two characters, or players rather, were doing a ridiculously good job. Interesting to see them sub them out this week.
So we got a couple wild card elements in here.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, that could be the element of surprise, giving them the jump on Arizona State here. Why don't you break down that roster for us?
Arizona State coming in with ADHD, one of the better players in the PACG that we have had the opportunity to watch. He was flawless last week against University of Utah in the show match on Tracer specifically. We saw him take out Daddy J more than once. He did a ridiculously good job. DJ Dobro is going to be the support, and Chrono Dota on the tank is also ridiculous. And I have to do a little bit of a shout out last week. I noticed that I was saying Chum Chai instead of Chum Cha because in game he has a 1 after his name and I thought it was an I because I am a little bit colorblind. My depth perception kind of sucks. So my apologies, your name is Chumcha, I know that now. And Spades and Chris are going to be their remaining players on healing and tank, respectively. Everyone for Arizona State works well together. Everyone for Arizona State is ridiculously strong.
See, I actually heard some rumblings in Twitch chat that Chrono Dota might be getting some offers under the table to head over to UCLA to play with those boys over there. I know maybe Twitch chat isn't always the most reliable source.
Probably not. I wouldn't go with what Twitch chat's telling you. But, I mean, it is possible.
Why would someone just go on the internet and lie about something like that?
How dare they? It's not like a place where anyone can say literally anything. I mean, I could just be the moron here. But an amazing matchup that we're going to have. Who do you think is going to be favored?
I feel that the easy answer is Arizona State University.
Silly question. I mean, on the counter, we have seen Oregon do some pretty great things. We have seen them, they were one of the teams, actually, that were capable of taking points off of UCLA. Oregon, when they get together as a team, on an individual basis, they are ridiculously powerful. And they make up for their maybe slightly worse players by working together as a team and synergizing. They just have to have those opportunities. They have to realize that you can't flood in, you can't do your straggler compositions, you have to work together. And when they get that, they are great.
So there is a case to be made for Oregon taking this
absolutely.
one. They are very close to ASU and UCLA, and in this match in particular, they got some new players who might be even better than their other ones. They could mix things up. It could be the closest thing we've had to an upset in the PACG Overwatch so far.
I agree with you so much there. If anyone is capable of upsetting ASU, it is going to be Oregon. We've already seen ASU try their best against UCLA and come up a little bit short, but Oregon, we've seen them go 0-2 in the previous week's matchups, but I think that they have finally got, or at least I hope they've got their stuff together, and they can work together as a team and do what they need to do and take down ASU, who is by far the favored team coming into this matchup.
They've had the time to adjust. They've had the time to work together and merge as a team. We're see if they're going to be. We're going to see if they're going to be able to apply it on our first map here as we return to Eichenwald yet again.
I think Oregon is actually going to have a pretty good time on this map, as we've seen them do really, really well on Volskaya Industries, with the exception of them falling off the edge of the map a little bit. Pretty embarrassing. But on Eichenwald, on the first point, there are no places where you can fall off, so that could, give Kerfluffle a little bit of an edge as she no longer can commit suicide on this map.
No, don't worry. There's still the bridge in Street Phase.
Oh yeah, afterwards. I mean for the first point specifically. However, we see ADHD on Tracer, typical. DJ Dobro on Zenyatta, typical, and Chumcha is going to be playing Genji, but immediately falls to Robocrab, and Spades gets countered by Chang.
Both divas opening up with kills for their team. Chronodota gets the man advantage, though. Make that two. The monkey's on fire.
Oregon is faltering right here as Arizona is doing a ridiculously good job of separating or divide and conquer, rather. Spades immediately destroying the diva for the opposing team.
Those aren't even their DPS players.
Not even their DPS players, but it's just diva versus diva right now. Spades, a little bit of a troll right there, trying to jump off the edge and then come back on. Typical of ASU. Chronodota trying to stand on the table, have some good time, some summer fun, as Oregon is coming back.
I'll admit, I legitimately forgot that Diva had booster just there for a second.
You thought she's suicided.
Yeah, I was about to say.
A little spooky of a situation. Here we see Chronodota doing Chronodota things, eliminating Urk and events for the opposing team. Chang actually does a good headshot on Chris, but it's not going to be enough as Chumcha is popping off, takes off Robocrab, the mech, and the baby diva form independently.
I have to say, I think Oregon's trying to take this point a little too fast for my taking.
Agree.
They flood in, they're moving as a pack, but some of the slower characters, they're falling behind, they're getting spread out, and Arizona State, they're too good to not punish that kind of positioning.
Exactly. Look at the ultimate charges right now, Sleek. We see 4 for Arizona State and none for Oregon. This is because you can't get ult charge when you're dead. Oregon needs to group together, stop streaming in, and utilize it. But it may be a little bit too late as Arizona State has 5 ultimates now, with Chumcha coming up soon with 87, now 90% charge.
I wanted, look on the bright side, say, well, what does Oregon have? Well, they almost have a Dragon Blade. JK, well, he's dead.
Exactly. Oregon, like we just mentioned, are still continuing to stream in. They're not working as a team, which has been their pitfall week after week after week in this tournament. Chumcha and ADHD combined are too good to let anything like that slide by. They are going to pick off those isolated characters. They know when someone's not working together as a team. Look in the top left. Arizona State, 5 ultimates as a result.
Getting these very clean wipes. ADHD, the only one actually had to throw their ultimate out there. And I say had, it was one that they wanted to.
Exactly.
There was not actually any pressure to deliver that pulse bomb there. Now the Winston leads the way to the grave.
He independently just jumps out there, isolates himself, and he gets killed by Chronodota, who does a ridiculously good job of dealing damage when he needs to. And then the rest of the team follows suit, and everything falls apart. 1 minute left, and now Chumcha is 4v1ing in the backline.
I actually saw something very similar to this as I was doing my homework for all this, watching a little bit of the Overwatch League. It was LA Valiant. They were attacking Hanamura. They would have Fate on this Winston. He would jump super far forward, but he had a Moira healing him, much like the Oregon situation. Moira can't keep up with the Winston. He gets separated, gets blown up.
Exactly. Chrono Dodo popping that Primal Rage ultimate and doing a great job of making space. However, he's a little bit overextended and Urk takes him out. Not to matter though, as ADHD eliminates Chang on Pharah. No easy feat, and ADHD is continuing to pop off as he Vince falls as well.
Now we have a raging Winston here for Oregon, trying to do something on this point. All he does is die, though.
Chumcha chasing down Winston in Primal Rage form. No easy feat at all. And he is now putting some shurikens into Chang's Pharah. Also not an easy feat, really showcasing how good of a player he is, and an individual specifically. He is such a highly skilled person, rather.
On a highly skilled character as well,
oh,
as you almost ended up saying. And where have I seen this play before?
Just barely. We saw him dive into the point and falter once more. Dragon Blade popping up from Chumcha, and he immediately gets 2 clean kills. Kerfuffle falls, Urk falls, D.Va trying her best to get on and actually pops her ultimate, but to no avail. No kills got, and ADHD cleans up, eliminates RoboCrab with a Pulse Bomb. Oregon not allowing any percentage to fall onto that first control point on the hybrid map.
That's rough if you're Oregon. The specific reason I mentioned the LA Valiant example was just to make a point. That kind of tactical error isn't something that even some of the mechanically best players in the world can overcome with their skill.
Exactly.
That's just a straight tactical misplay that you cannot be making, and no amount of just being good at your characters is going to change the consequences of that play.
Exactly. When you're Winston and you dive into the enemy team and it's 6v1, you can be the best Winston player on the planet Earth by a long shot. You're still going to get your butt kicked. Like, there's nothing you can do in that situation. Why on earth would you dive in knowing full well that Chumcha and ADHD are messing up your backlines? You have to go back, you have to set down your barriers, take advantage of the fact that Arizona State is overextending with those 2 characters. In spite of that, Arizona knows that, hey, we are dang good character, or ADHD specifically, and Chumcha, we are dang good players. We can overextend. We know what we're doing. We are more than capable of putting damage in your backline, and getting out alive. How do you think Arizona, or Oregon, yes, excuse me. Oregon is going to be capable of making a good defense?
I'm not entirely sure. But at the same time, I do want to talk about a little what they could have done a little bit better on the offense, because that's what we saw, that's what we know. If they coordinated the leaps forward with the D.Va and the Winston a little bit better, maybe we see a Zenyatta in place of the Moira.
Exactly.
Moira can't keep up, but Harmony Orb absolutely can follow the Winston. I think that's the adaptation they need to make if they want to make that kind of comp work going forward. On offense, or well, defense now, it's an entirely different ball game. We'll see what they got.
Yeah, I agree with you right there, Sleek. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they choose a long-range healer or a close-range healer like Moira or Lucio versus Ana or Zenyatta. But I think it would be better if they picked the long-range healers like you were just barely mentioning. They would be a lot more efficient working with the Winston. So it seems like their compositions could also use a little bit of work this week. But individually, they are still very skilled players.
Something to keep in mind, though, this could be a great chance for experimentation on the side of Oregon. This is actually just a show match for them.
Yeah.
These teams are not in the same division. This will not go on their final scorecard, their record for placements in the playoffs. So it's a chance to try things weird against a really good team.
Of course, this is just an opportunity for both teams to highlight and showcase their skills, see how they match up against each other in the possibility that they may meet in the finals or something like that. However, I do think ASU is probably going to be moving into the finals eventually after these 8 weeks of play are finished, because they are just such a strong team, as we are clearly seeing. ASU is putting on a clinic of punishment right now, doing ridiculous amounts of damage, defending, playing flawlessly. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the matches.
All right. Sides have been flipped. We are going into Eichenwald here. Fight's already begun. Anti-nade on like 7 people. That's not even possible.
I don't know how that is possible. Like you just mentioned, Dav M doing ridiculously good timing, and Events falls to Chrono Dodo. Arizona State pushes through. They only have to get 33% of this point capped, and they are not showing mercy.
None at all. Mercy can't make any impacts with these anti-nades all over the place. I just saw a good one come out of Dave M, but DJ...
Flawless.
I'm giving that one to DJ there. His anti-nades 2 in a row that hit so many players both times. Shuts down Oregon. And, well, Chumcha, did he play Moira?
On Moira, an interesting pick right there.
Did that happen in the 10-second fight we just had? Yes,
Probably.
it did. Yes, it did.
Yeah, as you can see, Moira right here is just such a good character when it comes to these up-close engagements. I can see why they would want to take Moira on a point like this, and a clean sweep for
That's
Arizona
5 supports.
State. 5 supports.
It happened so quickly. 5 supports.
Supports in this meta do damage. Ridiculous amounts of damage. I think they are more than capable of doing that and having it work to their favor, as you can see. Or maybe they're just trying to show off and say, hey, we're ASU. We don't even need to have DPS to kick you guys out of the competition. We're just that good.
Yep, and I do suppose I should make an apology to Symmetra mains. I know you guys probably think that's a 6 support composition. I'm sorry that's wrong. That is 5 supports there. Even as much as you wish it was the 6. Symmetra's not a support.
I mean, yeah, she is a defensive character in all actuality. She's just good at defending singular points. She doesn't necessarily heal. Well, yeah, her projection barrier can take damage. Well, yeah, so can tanks. That doesn't make them a support. Like,
so is Symmetra a tank now?
Symmetra is, like, you know how, like, when you're picking your character, how it is, like, offense, defense, tank, support? She's, like, in that awkward line between defense and tank without actually being anywhere near the support category. Like, here's defense, here's tank, support's all the way over there, and, like, right in between the two is Symmetra.
But teleporters like Rez.
No, it doesn't work. No.
All right.
No.
Now we've agreed.
No.
If Twitch Chats hates us for it, we're in this together.
Yeah. Well, we've established that, you know, Symmetra is not a support character. That is. It is what it is. You can fight us.
Well, ASU apparently thinks so. So who are we to question them?
Exactly. They seem to know what they're talking about, what they do. They've shown it to us. ASU taking a commanding first point against, or first map rather, on Eichenwald, not allowing Oregon any opportunities to grow, not allowing them any opportunities to work together as a team. They just seem to be flustered, as usual.
That's just a bit unfortunate for them there. The plays fell apart for Oregon. They had the right ideas in a lot of places. The Winston Diva is such a strong combo, just wasn't executed the way it needed to be. And then if they go back and watch those VODs, I think there's some easy changes they can make that will improve them a whole lot. Heck, maybe they'll make them right now as we get ready to look at our next map on Volskaya Industries.
One of our all-time favorites that we've seen, and apparently for them as well. But they told us previously after the matches that they are going to be working on their dives around the right side. They're not going to have Kerfluffle fall off the edge anymore. She seemed a little bit tilted by that, and understandably so. That's nothing you ever want to have happen. I do want to go back just a little bit. Like I mentioned, the composition that Oregon was running was a perfect dive comp. Every character that they had was the character that they should have been picking, but they had no team coordination, no communication. They let their DPSs and their supports get picked off by ADHD and Chumcha. Meanwhile, their tanks, as we saw time and time again, were diving in, and they're like, hey, where are my supports? Why aren't the DPSs capitalizing on this? It's because you didn't communicate, because your DPSs were dead. Your supports were getting tied up in the backline. They can't help you when they have to fight ADHD and Chumcha, which is not an easy thing to do. Those two players are phenomenal.
The healers just could not keep up. Moira was the kind of kid in school who skipped PE, just like sneak into the chem lab and do whatever. So not much of a runner, that one there. So just doesn't work with the Winston too terribly well.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to see what kind of adjustments can they make as we go into Volskaya. I'm as excited to see why they've chosen this map. What comps will they pull together specifically for this Russian battleground?
Yeah, Volskaya, as we've mentioned before, a definitely interesting two-point map. Control point, rather, to see who can be the best on offense, who can be the best on defense. You have ridiculous amounts of long sight range. You have ridiculous amounts of up-close compositions. It has everything. Everything can go down on Volskaya Industries. It's going to be interesting to see who plays what.
Well, what can we do other than see whenever we eventually get into there? Here we are. Look at that robot. I love the robot.
It's like something out of War of the Monsters or some old 80s TV show, like some King Kong type stuff. Amazing, amazing map. I love it.
So you think one of those giant robots is going to be like Hero 27?
A character? No. No. Do you know how, okay, I'm going to take Tracer, like this dainty little 5'8" British girl. I'm going to play the 250-foot robot. Good luck, Scrub Lord. Like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. Anyways, we are getting right back into the action as it seems Oregon is favoring not to go around the back. A little bit too triggered by their previous mishaps on there. ADHD immediately taking out Urk on Symmetra on offense.
Symmetra fans getting their wish anyway, regardless of what we may have said about them. But now, it is going to be Arizona continuing to push forward here, or, yeah, capturing this point very, very quickly.
ADHD microwave gunning RoboCrab down. Spades doing such a good job on tank right there on Diva, getting on top of the point and also making space when it needs to happen. They are pushing them back onto the second point. This may be one of the fastest 2-point caps we've ever seen, as Arizona State is already in a position to take the next point.
That's one of the important things we're seeing them do right now. We see so many teams, they love to rush point 2 after taking point 1. That's to capitalize on the people respawning from the point 1 fight. They stagger people after, as they were kind of caught in between the 2 points, they can capitalize on it, except they're not doing that, so I guess it doesn't matter.
It's, yeah, interesting to see how Oregon is deciding to handle this. Kerfuffle getting really close to that 100% ult charge on Moira. It's going to be completely impactful to pop the Coalescence. Looks like ADHD is just kind of taking a ride in the top left, a lazy river run.
Patience is the best weapon. Oh, but or Coalescence, that was a pretty potent weapon too, just saying.
TJ Dobro popping that ultimate and immediately doing ridiculous amounts of damage as 4 members of Oregon fall, and Events trying his best to put damage on a Chrono Dota, but he's trying to get away. He's dueling with ADHD, but ADHD doesn't have to aim. Chrono Dota and the rest of her team actually jumping off the edge, maybe a little bit of trolling coming out from them.
Now, Evidence trying here. What exactly is Arizona
Maybe
State?
they're trying to, I think they're trying to dive off the edge. A couple of their characters died, and they wanted them to get their ultimates together so that they can all move through the teleporter that Kerfuffle just caught just as their entire team comes through. Chang is able to take out ADHD's teleporter. They wanted this cat quickly from the other side, and it's not, it seems to be enough. ADHD and Spades doing ridiculous amounts of damage as Kerfuffle, Chang, and RoboCrab all fall.
It looked like Oregon was going to get the better end because they predicted where Arizona was going to come out. They threw the damage into the teleporter. Arizona State just does not care.
Chrono Dota moving on to the point. He puts up that Reinhardt shield with the 2,000 hit points, and it's just too much for Oregon to push through. However, it's countered by the Zarya ultimate from RoboCrab. It's just Arizona State, they didn't have any, or Oregon rather, didn't have any DPS to back it up.
This is an interesting teleporter placement. Let's see how that pans out for them.
I think it's just because ADHD is capable of getting that ultimate charge so quickly. They're just trying to mess him up in the background. They know that they are capable of defending that far up. A little bit of showmanship coming out of Arizona State. They're just kind of embarrassing Oregon, not giving them any opportunities to do anything, in all honesty.
When you use the symmetric teleporter like that, it's basically better Resurrect.
To a degree, yeah. I mean, Mercy can res one person, and that has to be done on the battlefield. It's a big detriment to Mercy to have to take the time to res someone, or you can just wait the 4 extra seconds while they're dead, and they can walk right back through the teleporter, and it can happen 6 times, which previously the maximum res that you could ever have before her ultimate became Valkyrie was a 5-man res. So in all senses of the word, Symmetra ultimate can potentially be used to better effect than former Mercy ultimate. It just takes time. There's a lot of trade-offs. It's a bit of a balanced conversation. Let's go ahead and see what was going to be coming up next for these two teams as they are starting to finally pick their defensive compositions and their offensive compositions.
It is worth mentioning that the ability to use the Symmetra teleporter in the context, it's a pretty big if.
Yeah.
Arizona had to do a lot of things to make that work. We see Chrono Data putting up the Rhine shield just to keep safe the teleporter instead of any actual person for his team.
Exactly. That was one of the trade-offs that I was mentioning before, is the Symmetra ultimate can be sniped down, and you also have the trade-off between whether you use the shield battery or the teleporter ultimate. Both have good benefits. Looks like they were choosing to run the teleporter just because the spawn distance is so far away from the point. I agree with the teleporter choice. Maybe the teleporter placement a bit cocky in my opinion, but it worked out in the end, so they're allowed to do it.
Just a little bit confident on that attack Symmetra forward Vanguard teleporter play there. I guess it's kind of a dropship strategy. We don't have a lot of that in Overwatch.
No, there's no medevacs. There are no medevacs in Overwatch, unfortunately. I'm going to quote like the Grim Patron from Hearthstone. Everybody, get in here! That's exactly what that Symmetra reminded me of.
All right, well, let's see what Oregon's going to do to try and one-up Arizona State's innovative tactics.
Oregon moving on the left side. Kerfuffle, are you going to make it? Yes! Kerfuffle didn't die. They do the emote because they know we're going to be looking on whether or not they fall off the edge. Kerfuffle and Dav-M both surviving as they move around. Chang trying to get a good look on this Bastion right here, and Chang with the immediate reaction. Chumcha, ADHD, Spades, Chrono Dota are all popping off. Oregon falters. They have got no chance of breaking through that composition.
They've got the Bastion Torbjorn. I ordered it from Stanford, but Arizona going to be the one who deliver it for me.
Pirate ship composition without any shields. Take Pharah. all I can say, take Pharah.
And they've got the double snipers as well, really counting on their mechanical skill to assert their dominance over Oregon. Because that's really what they're doing. They're no longer playing to beat Oregon. They've proven they can do that. They're here. It's kind of a macho thing.
Yeah, they're kind of showing off a little bit. Oregon immediately switching off to Farah, like I mentioned before, and Chang slaughters Chumcha, but ADHD counters. That's one of the benefits of running Widowmaker on this composition, is it counters the Farah. Chris eliminating RoboCrab. They have someone on the point, but it's not going to be enough to make it to that 33% cap. ADHD popping off with another headshot on Chang, and another kill on Urk. ADHD is giving Raxa a run for his money on who is the better Widowmaker in Overwatch.
And I feel the question has been answered fairly convincingly. Just a little bit.
ADHD is just, I mean, we'd have to see these two go together specifically to know. I want to say Raxa, but ADHD, I honestly don't know. They're both so good. It could go either way. ADHD, ridiculously powerful right there. Headshot after headshot after headshot. Chronodota taking Hanzo, and he's getting picks as well, doing ridiculous amounts of damage to the front line of Oregon.
Now Chronodota showing he's more than just a tank player, throwing out that Hanzo damage, looking for the scatter. This is the second tank player I have seen playing Hanzo today. What is happening?
It's working out for him as Oregon drops 5 members, mostly because Spades is doing ridiculous amounts of damage with that Junkrat tire. DJ Dobro on May is also doing a great job of stalling the pushes from Oregon. Chris's Torbjorn turret in the background, just passively dealing damage to anything that moves into its line of sight. Flawlessly defended by ADHD's Widowmaker.
Have to say, and now Ultimate Economy favoring Arizona State a healthy bit. They've got 2 immediately available. ADHD's is coming, while Oregon, they're still waiting on just getting 1.
Actually, I never noticed that, as it would seem that May has got 300 HP and 25 from armor. Interesting that they decided to give her 50 extra HP, but May has made a comeback in the meta. May is doing a ridiculously good job of stalling the point and not allowing RoboCrab specifically of getting any progress on this first control point on Volskaya Industries.
Urk does not find the hook onto ADHD, and that is going to prove to be a fatal mistake here. Should be. There we go.
ADHD with the melee punch in the head. Great job from ADHD once again. On fire for a vast majority of this match. We've got 40 seconds left for Oregon to make something happen. They are close to 3 ultimates.
Oh, but hey, Arizona State lost the Torb turret. Chris had to replace that.
The Torb turret fell down, and then 6 seconds later, it's back to normal. Ooh.
You gotta take the victory.
Ooh.
By Kerfuffle.
Chronodota.
Kerfluffle?
My man, that was a fantastic scatter arrow. Perfect shot angle right at the feet right there. Amazing work. Oregon has got 15 seconds left as they try to move on to the point. RoboCrab actually pinches Chronodota in the background, and events eliminates Chris's turret. Chumcha counters though, and RoboCrab falls. Spades and Chumcha doing all the damage for this Arizona State team.
Here comes the tank configuration, but there's no one left to slay. Arizona, in convincing fashion, make the full hold on Volskaya with a full DPS squad.
Chumcha there at the last second, you can see him use his last shot in tank configuration to jump himself up on top of that defensive position and just set up an configuration turret. Great work from Arizona State, not allowing anyone to slip through. Their defense is seamless.
It's looking incredibly strong. This whole sequence of events just speaks to the mechanical skill of these players, and my goodness gracious, what a Junkrat play.
I completely agree with you there. I think we need to take a look, though, for a second at Oregon. It seems like they had so many good opportunities to try and make something happen. Just there at the very end, RoboCrab dove in and took out the Hanzo. Just at the same time, Diva went around the back and took out the Torbjorn turret. That was a great opportunity to make something happen, but the rest of the team wasn't there to capitalize on it. Once again, the tanks are overextending themselves. Not necessarily overextending because they are getting value from it, but the rest of the team is incapable of following it up. They have to work on that.
And one of the big things there was that Arizona State was able to run a successful president comp without actually doing anything to protect the president. And this is just like Rambo president going solo into the enemy fortress.
Doesn't need anything. I think the reason why they were capable of doing that is because of ADHD's Widowmaker. Everybody knows the counter to Bastion, the counter to Torbjorn is going to be Pharmacy. The counter to Pharmacy is going to be a god tier Widowmaker, which you can absolutely find in ADHD, and he showed us specifically why he has taken one of the top spots as the best Widowmaker in this competition. Sleek.
I think that really hits the nail on the head. Death is the best form of crowd control in any
Can't
game
move
like
if you're dead.
You can't kill my
great
carries
mentality.
if you're dead. Yeah.
Great mentality for ASU, just running a full damage composition. And I don't think it matters what they run against this team. They are just going to be great in every sense of the word. They're sleek.
At the end of the day, Overwatch is a team shooter. So on one hand, yes, it is a team strategy game. On the other hand, it's still a shooter. Shoot the enemy before they shoot you. Victory.
Basically how it ends up working. It looks like Oregon is not doing as good a job as they can be when it comes to shooting the enemy in the face. Maybe they should try and maybe just change things up a little bit. Maybe it's the composition. I don't know what it is. They're going to have one last chance to make it work out for them on Lijiang Tower, the most popular King of the Hill map that we have seen in the PACG Overwatch tournament. How do you think these two teams are going to be playing together? Because we have actually, you don't know this because you weren't here at the time, but Oregon was actually capable of taking maps off previous teams on Lijiang Tower. This is the one that they like the most.
So it's entirely possible this could be some of our upset potential. This is Oregon's strongest map, and Arizona State seems to be in full troll mode right now. So if Arizona keeps up their patterns here, maybe they try full tank comp next.
Which we saw last week. USC ran 5 tanks and actually did really, really well. Anyways, continue with what you were saying.
So if they continue, they pull together some wacky composition just to show they can, and then Oregon State comes out of nowhere and says, surprise, we're actually really good here. This is a place where we could take you on at your best, and because you're trolling, we're going to kick your butts. And if that happens, well, then they take the map pretty convincingly.
Yeah, last week Arizona State was doing a show match against University of Utah. They ended up beating University of Utah 4-0 in pretty clean fashion. The only map that Utah was capable of taking a point off of them was Lijiang Tower. So it seems like maybe Arizona State has a little bit of a misstep on this map. Maybe they just don't care as much on this map. It could be any of the above. But all that we know with this information is that Oregon does good on Lijiang Tower, and the only map that Arizona has dropped has been Lijiang Tower. So if they're going to make something happen, this has got to be it.
What else is there to say? This is the chance for Oregon to reclaim some honor in this duel of... Well, I'm just gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. A little bit of ridiculousness. It has been a little ridiculous. Now Arizona will return to the full DPS composition.
All 6 DPS characters rather, while Oregon is running a somewhat standard composition. Both teams electing to take Doomfist.
However, not exactly super typical from Oregon. More running the Diva Roadhog as their tanks. I really don't see Roadhog as a primary tank at all. He's more just fat DPS in my book, so...
On this point, I think Roadhog is absolutely the proper choice, as he is capable of pulling members into his team along these type of 90-degree angle corners that he's just so favorable to that type of surprise I gotcha play that Roadhog is known for. Here we see DJ Dobro and Chrono Dota popping off, doing great amounts of damage, moving in onto the point and stopping Oregon's cap on it.
They do throw them back there. Oregon's going to have to regroup. Oh, actually going to be a little bit of a stall on the point, I think. Wait, is anyone going to stand on the point? There you go, Arizona. That's how you play King of the Hill. Good job.
Someone finally deciding to cap that point for him as Oregon is forced to regroup once again. I am impressed that they are not streaming in and they are actually regrouping, something that they've needed to work on in this tournament, showcasing that right here. Chrono Dota with a 1v1 pickoff on events.
Oh, it was the full defense characters. That's what last game. I just counted the fact they were all DPS, but that was technically every hero in the defense category.
Oh yeah,
that should have been more obvious.
And then they did the full supports, full air quote supports at Symmetra previously. Now we see what they're doing. They're just going down the roster. It makes it a little bit predictable if Oregon can pick onto it. I think it might be a bit too late though. Oregon moving on to the point. Somber with a great EMP, and Robocrab is trying his best to deal damage. Chumsha falls down. DJ Dobro falls down, but Chris counters and eliminates events. Chrono Dota pops that ultimate, and the rest of the team for Oregon falls. 5 members down. Chang not too far behind, and a team kill from Arizona State. They have so much damage, and Oregon doesn't have enough healing.
That Sombra is particularly detrimental to Oregon's composition right here, because the Diva and the Roadhog are dependent on their abilities to tank. Diva needs the defense matrix. Urk on the Roadhog, he needs to take a breather, and when you cannot use those abilities, they're just big health bars.
Can you imagine how this team composition would be running for Oregon if Urk was not on Roadhog and was on Zarya instead, with a Dragon Ultimate from Hanzo, Meteor Strike from Doomfist, as well as Crab self-destruct? How well do you think Zarya would be doing in difference from the Roadhog right here? It would be making worlds of difference against this 6 AD comp from Arizona State.
On one hand, it's a good idea because the combo potential is so good. Look at Oregon's ult charge.
It's ridiculous. They are not capable of getting any damage off. They are just feeding the charge to Arizona State. They do not seem to have an answer to this. Arizona State so strong they can bring whatever composition from whatever tier tree in the offense, defense, support, whatever it is. Arizona State is more than capable of being a phenomenal team and more than a match for Oregon.
Made painfully obvious there. Actually, Dave gets the win over Chronododa there. ADHD making things happen, but Dave keeping his team in this one.
He's trying his best to deal damage, actually popping that Transcenda's ultimate and healing a vast majority of the damage. And it looks like Oregon actually retakes the point. 99% charge for Arizona State when Oregon finally takes it back. Looks like Arizona is now having the ball in their court, and it's up to them to take it back. They only need 1% to finish this match off.
Now, ults quantitatively match 2 on both sides. I think Arizona's gonna have the economy advantage here. DJ almost has the EMP, and that's so huge against Oregon's roster.
But the ultimates that they have, Chris has got the Meteor Strike that is so impactful. However, he falls down to Kerfluffle. Chronododo pops the Attack Visor, and ADHD immediately uses the Tracer Pulse Bomb. Spades immediately eliminates Davem as well, and it doesn't seem like Oregon is capable of stopping this as Chumcha gets rid of Urk. DJ Dobro also popping off on the Sombra here.
Now, Arizona State looks to retake here. Kerfluffle tries to make the stall, but there's just too much damage to juke in Arizona's comp. A little high on the shot there, Evans.
DJ Dobro saying hi to the dragon shot that was pretty out of position there. Not enough. Here we see our casters with a little bit of the sad face right there. Little embarrassing from Oregon. They can do I think they can do so much better against this. I've seen them time and time again pull it together at the last second and make something happen, but it just seems they are intimidated by ASU, and I would be too. They are such a good team.
And there has to be a certain level of tilt that's coming into this. I'm not gonna lie, what Arizona State is doing right now, it's BM. It is straight up BM, and when you're losing to full BM comps,
it's tilting. Absolutely tilting.
I kind of want to hear what's in Oregon's comms right now. On the other hand, I'm a little scared of what might be in Oregon's comms right now.
Chumcha trying to change things up a little bit and taking the Pharah instead of what he was playing previously. Oregon trying to move along the rights, the only pathway that you can get into the point right here. ADHD putting some damage, or maybe not putting damage. Just kind of standing there for a little bit, but it seems to be working out as Davem falls, as well as Chang.
DJ takes a triple kill on this Sombra. That damage buff was no joke.
You can really see it coming through clean right here, as Sombra is capable of just putting damage after damage after damage, specifically into the tanks of Oregon.
So, again, we see Arizona. They take control of this point. I think Oregon might be trying to kind of go right here, take that alternate path to the point with their tanks. Chumcha sees that, tries to throw out that spam damage, and ASU going to be ready to intercept that.
A little bit of misspoke. Arizona actually taking the point right there, not Oregon, but it seems Oregon is trying their best to move around the right side right here and get a team composition together, grouped up, and really utilize their shield to make something happen. ADHD, however, is having none of that and eliminates Davem with a pulse bomb. Urk missing a hook right there, immediately hacked and eliminated by DJ Dobro. Fantastic work from Arizona State.
And now it's just going to be clean up crew from Arizona. The tanks are gone, the health bars are low. Chronododa has a stat line to pad. And I think that fight in particular highlighted one of the things that Oregon is struggling with. They've highly prioritized the Roadhog selection. Urk has been on this character more or less non-stop, but I can't remember the last time I've seen him land the hook, pull out one of these vulnerable members of ASU, and just kill him outright. That's not happening, even though there's so many primary targets.
You're absolutely right there, Sleek. It doesn't seem like it's working out for Oregon. Arizona State with another team kill of the matchup, approaching 70%. The compositions from Oregon need to change. The way that you beat full DPS is with Zarya. DPS characters, they only deal damage. Zarya, when people deal damage to her, she gains damage. So when you use that pulse bomb, coupled with your Zara ultimate, it's going to be ridiculous. ADHD, speaking of pulse bombs, gets a triple kill with one because they are too clumped up together, and the second team kill in 20% difference. Arizona State putting on a clinic.
All right, I don't want to be too much of a negative Nancy here, but it seems ASU's victory here is a little bit of a foregone conclusion, right? What do they need? What does Oregon need to change if they want to avoid these kind of situations as we go forward?
Obviously, we can't hear their comms, but it seems that they are pretty tilted. They're streaming in, but then again, they've been doing that quite a lot recently, ever since they've started this tournament 2 weeks ago, as this is week 3. Oregon needs to work on their team compositions. Urk finally switching off, getting onto that Winston. Not enough, though. Too little, too late. Oregon actually retakes the point. 99% for the second time in this series.
Arizona State has been pushed away from the point here. I don't know if that's Cloud9 or Oregon really forcing them off.
My ultimate is
I was having a little trouble seeing what was going on there, but hey, Oregon in control here.
ADHD trying his best, fluffs a bit of a pulse bomb right there, and it looks like Kerfuffle decides to walk right on top of it. ADHD on the best character in the game. I love myself some Tracer, doing great amounts of damage, but RoboCrab counters, it doesn't matter. Chrono Dota pops the tack visor, and 3, 4, 5 members for Oregon drop. Arizona State caps. We have just about 2 more seconds before this one's over.
Try as you might, Kerfuffle. That stall's not happening. Interesting position from the high noon. Is he going to be okay? Oh, all right, he's fine.
Hopefully. That looks like pretty painful. I mean, we can't say it enough times. Arizona State is just incredibly powerful. They don't need to run standard compositions for them to feel confident enough to beat Oregon. That pulse bomb right there, absolutely flawless. Sticking it on the character, not the ground. So many people mess that up, and getting essentially a 5-man kill right there. Arizona, it's been them non-stop these past 2 weeks since we've seen them start playing. What do you think Oregon can do better?
There's a lot of things. We've talked on the team play aspects. Sure, been there, done that. I would like to see a bit more flexibility in their drafts. We see them take quite a bit, really too long in my opinion, to change off of selections that aren't really working for them. So maybe that might be a limited hero pool thing. Maybe they don't have that many heroes to go to. If that's the case, flesh that out. Get into ranked, make that grind happen, get comfortable on more characters. That's just what you have to do. Spend some time in that hyperbolic time chamber with those mechanics. Get to the point where anyone would be a fool to take 6 DPS against you.
Exactly. Maybe it just comes down to a lack of game knowledge. Maybe they don't know what the counter to 6 DPS is. Maybe Arizona State knows that, and that's why they're using that to their advantage. It just seems like Oregon needs to just get a little bit better. They're just almost there in so many things that if they just focus on one thing and then the other and then the other and finally get it all together, that they can actually become a strong competitor in this competition. We don't want to see them continue to get stopped because we can see the potential that they have. It would have been oh so simple for them to switch off onto Zarya, couple with the Graviton Surge, get a complete team kill, because it would have been ever so easy to do that against a 6 DPS composition, but they decided to run the Roadhog instead. You can't necessarily run that against the incredibly mobile Soldier 76, Tracer, Genji, Pharah. You can't do it.
This is a team that's on the precipice of being able to do so much more, and that's one of the great things about the PACG is that we are giving them a platform to practice against serious levels of competition, to cross that threshold to become that much more. This set, obvious a setback. Probably going to be a little disheartening for some of the fans, but at the same time, we've got 8 weeks.
If you lose, you lose. There's no two ways about it. They just need to try and overcome that, not get tilted and say like, oh well, they're just better than us. There's nothing we could have done better. How do you think Arizona State or people like Raxa or those really high top tier characters that we've been talking about a lot in this tournament got to that level? It wasn't by giving up. It wasn't by just stopping when they face adversaries? Adversity. Thank you so much. I cannot remember that. I may have a big vocabulary, but sometimes I can't remember crap. Anyways, Junkertown, going to be the final map.
Well, we've seen this come out a couple times here, and this is something I like to see Oregon pull out. I've talked about, I've mentioned this maybe 3 times now, so maybe I should stop mentioning it, but the idea, if you're getting beat mechanically, find something mechanically easy to play.
Protect the president. Protect the president. It's not hard to hold down right-click on Reinhardt and put the shield right there. It's not hard to put the Orisa shield right there and just let Bastion hold down the left click, deal ridiculous amounts of damage, murder everything. It's so easy to do. It's so powerful. It doesn't have very strong counters on this map. Everybody is running Protect the President on offense, on defense. I would like to see Oregon try and utilize this to their advantage.
It's not easy, though. When you talked about one of the weaknesses of Oregon is teamwork.
Yeah.
And
good point.
Well, teamwork is so essential to this composition where you invest everything into that one character. If anyone on the team is not doing their job to protect that Bastion properly, it just completely falls apart. So it'll be a really good exercise for Oregon here. If they're kind of sitting in their comms, talking about what do we need to do? How can we improve? And if they're saying the right things, recognizing the right weaknesses,
staying positive,
and apply that to this match, this could be proof of their ability to grow.
I absolutely agree with you. This is going to be a great map for them to showcase team play, as this map is characterized by that. We've mentioned it before. Protect the President. It is so powerful, but as you said, you have to have team coordination. You have to have your shields in the right spot. You have to be calling out where enemy members are, because flankers are so prevalent on offense as well. You're going to see Tracers, you're going to see Genjis, you're going to see McCrees, people that are going to try and mess up around the backline of this Protect the President composition that we're hopefully going to be able to see. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the map overview.
As we go into Junkertown, the map situated in scenic Wasteland, Australia. Is the ruins of like an omelet making factory? That's the lore behind this place.
I'm actually not too sure. I just know that Roadhog and Junkrat live here, as you can see by their enormous piles of gold that they have no doubt looted from many times. Here we see Oregon protecting the president.
They've got 5 tanks and a Bastion. Who would have guessed? Now, Spades jumping around on this payload here, trying to circle around. Evans will take out Spades early on.
A great pick from Oregon to start things off. However, immediately getting picked off by Chris and Chumcha. DJ Dobro as well with a fantastic biotic grenade, and it seems everybody falls for Oregon. You can't be that far forward when you play Protect the President. You have to be up on the high ground. They had the right idea, just faltered a little bit in execution, and Arizona State immediately capitalized with this no-tank team comp that they are running.
Beautiful play from DJ there. Got a wonderful biotic grenade. Really made it easy for Arizona State to run over what was left of Oregon. Chronodata on the Zenyatta, trying to stop Oregon's response from coming through.
One of my favorite characters is, in fact, Zenyatta. The damage capabilities that he has is almost unparalleled. He does just as much damage as any DPS. Coupled with the healing, he is a menace if played properly, which he absolutely is in the knowing hands of Chronodota.
Oh, hey, you got your wish. Robocrab on the Zarya.
Finally, a couple matches too late, and it seems a little bit out of position as 4 members for Oregon have fallen. I'm not quite sure if Zarya is going to be the proper comp, the proper tank rather, for this comp against what Arizona State is running.
Something that I am curious, does Oregon want to keep trying to make the Bastion play work?
At this point, it's a lost cause. We've mentioned this before, how once you get off the point or your original setup with Bastion, you have to drop it because you are going to be incapable of setting up again. There's so many flanking routes, as Chumcha just demonstrated for us, that people can capitalize. Once people get their ultimate charges up, you can't run Protect the President. Look at this, 5 members down for Oregon, all because of Arizona State's ultimates.
Just the destructive power contained in characters like Tracer, like the Hanzo. Once they have that ult charge, there's not enough protection in the world for that turret man.
Arizona State may seem like they're running a troll composition, but look at it against a Protect the President composition. Every single member of their team is designed specifically to take out events.
It's kind of a full assassination comp.
Exactly.
You got the snipers looking for gaps in the shields. You got flankers looking to make the gaps in the shields. You got it all there.
Everything for Arizona State has been seamless on Junkertown thus far. Oregon trying their best. They're getting picks occasionally here and there, but it's not enough. You got to get that team kill. Kerfuffle popping the Coalescence, trying to put some good damage in on Spades, and he's actually going to get out. Oh, not quite. ADHD, however, counters with 2 headshots. Davin, 3 clean headshots. Davin falls, RoboCrab falls, and some more for Oregon are down as it's only 2 members remaining, rather.
Kerfluffle takes out 2 in that fight there, so good moves there, but just seems every step forward that Oregon takes, Arizona does a double backflip in their face.
Chumcha with a great pulse bomb right there on events, not allowing them to get into position, which is why you can't run Protect the President after you die the first time through.
Especially just in this third and final section, there's just not as good a place for the Bastion to set up, so you really just need to abandon that idea entirely.
Arizona State with this Widowmaker on ADHD is the highlight of this composition in my mind. They are pushing it flawlessly. Oregon trying their best to get it together, but it's not enough. Urk actually taking out Spades, but Chumcha immediately counters and eliminates events.
Urk on the Widowmaker, that's a little interesting. We see Oregon has a lot of flex players on them, right?
Yeah.
But Urk's been mostly on tanks here.
It seems interesting that you would put your apparent tank player on a DPS, but you know, whatever works, works. You gotta try and fight your way back into this game one way or another. Davem trying to put some shots down range into Arizona State. Actually putting some good damage on Chronodota, forcing Chronodota to pop that Transcendence. ADHD with the headshot on Chang, and Spades with the Dragon Blade ultimate dives into the background, and Vince is isolated.
But a good bubble shield there only buys him a moment. Dragon Surge will finish off events, allow them to finish this offensive push.
That was so strong from Arizona State. Their composition, they knew they were going up against Protect the President. They prepared for it. Oregon faltering with their execution a little bit, being out of position with rather than being up on the high ground, which would have been much more difficult for Tracer and characters to get around the back of you. And they did an okay job in the first 25 seconds, but other than that, the rest you guys know.
I mean, you all just watched it. It just happened. I'd hope your memory is strong enough to retain that information. So, we talked about how Arizona State's composition was so good at picking apart this Protect the President comp. Is that something that Arizona State can run because they're Arizona State playing Oregon, or is that going to work against stiffer competition, say UCLA?
I think it's not going to be capable, but the majority of it is going to be the same. They have to be running a tank, which is the specific. When you're running against a Bastion that's a little bit inexperienced, he's not going to be as accurate as he possibly could. If you're going up against Pip on Bastion, he's not going to be missing. So if you're taking those flanking DPS characters, you're going to get headshot the second you pop out into line of sight. And so they're going to be running essentially a very similar composition, but with some few minor changes. They're just trying to flesh this one out against Oregon. Since this is the final match, Arizona State has already won. This is just the 4th match remaining. It's for fun and to allow teams to get better acquainted with one another.
All right, now something to look for as sides have been switched. It's another chance for Oregon to try that Bastion composition with the pirate ship. This time it is the right play to set up on the payload this time, and they like doing that before. So try it again, and might see some better results this time.
I think just because the payload is actually pretty interesting on Junkertown, it is a big square. It's so easy to put a Torbjorn turret on top of that as well. So you can do double Protect the President here on Junkertown. We are just going to have to see what teams are being, what characters are being chosen by the teams as we are moving in here onto the game.
Oh, hello. Now this is interesting. In place of a conventional barrier, they're using the Maywall as a mobile shield on the payload.
I mean, it works. May does such a fantastic job of permanently getting time on the payload, but there's not a lot you can do when that's your only form of defense and isolating flankers. Chumcha really showing us that you cannot burn your walls, you cannot burn your ice blocks to try and move the payload. I am just going to come around the back and destroy you.
So this has been an interesting experiment by Oregon here. How long do you expect them to try and stick with it before they move to something else?
I mean, this is one of the things we mentioned before. Oregon, they don't necessarily know when to change characters, that or they are incapable of because of lack of diverse champion pool. It could be either or, but I think it's going to take them a while to adapt to what Arizona State is running. Which, by the way, is the identical composition to what we saw previously.
Oh, lovely. So no changes there. Oregon, however, has substantially changed. They have moved away from tanks entirely, trying to run this May as their main tank. It's an interesting idea, but I am not impressed by the application so far.
With the 50 HP change, I can actually kind of understand why people are trying to run May as a tank, but she can't solo tank. She doesn't have that much HP. Her defense capabilities aren't that insane, but it is a good idea to try and run May as a tank. I like it. It just needs to be executed a little better with some more support.
But still, the payload's moving forward. Arizona State not really making the appropriate effort to stop its movement forward here. So, not entirely sure why they're not able to hold to this point. Maybe their whole no-tank comp just isn't as good at stalling out a payload as it is at moving
It's
it.
just Kerfluffle being ridiculously good, but ADHD says no, and headshots Kerfluffle in the back of the head. That was donezo. However, they did cap the first point and are now rapidly moving on to the second.
So it's not going to be the full hold from ASU. One of the first times we can say that in this set here. I hope Arizona intends to keep playing this match seriously. Do we have rules about trying to not playing?
I'm actually not sure, but as long as they do fulfill the match and not just like all jump off the edge right off the start and, you know, intentionally throw the game, that could get a little bit of penalization. But no, they are well within their rights to do exactly what they're doing because they are doing a great job as 4 members fall. The 5th down, Chang was incredibly close to dying right there, but was rezzed a little bit, or healed rather, by Kerfluffle, who is now isolated by Chris.
Now just surrounded by multiple characters. Not much the Ana player can do in that situation. One of the weaknesses of the character. She's good at dealing with one diver. 2 of them!
It's a little more difficult. I agree with you so much right there. Arizona maybe trying to flesh out their own champion pool and get something they're not supposed to. Spades actually dying to RoboCrab, but that being said, Spades is a healer. He's not necessarily supposed to be on Genji, so maybe just trying to give them some more experience with what one another should be playing.
At the same time, these healers, they need high levels of mechanical skill. We see the best healer players in the world are also just some of the best DPS because of how good your aim has to be to play that Ana, that Zen. So maybe it's just good exercise to have him on the Genji in a competitive setting.
Ooh, Chris with a nice scatter arrow eliminating Kerfuffle. RoboCrab falling short after an ADHD with a clean headshot. Chang falling. Davem trying his best to resurrect, but just headshots left and right for Arizona. Chronodota so far in the backline right there.
However, Evans with the kind of the sneaky backdoor on this payload, allowing that to move on forward despite ASU's dominance in combat.
Urk with a good headshot on ADHD, showing him that he actually knows a little bit of what he's doing on Widowmaker. A little bit too late, though, in my opinion. Chang with a great Blizzard ultimate, isolating 2 characters, which is pretty good.
There is no way ASU is not properly aware of what's going on with this payload.
They know.
They've finally shown up, trying to do something about it. Evans will fall to Chumcha. Now it's Chang, the one moving things forward.
Chang solo pushing this payload by himself, not trying to get embarrassingly 3-capped, but it looks like Chronodota is going to be using that Tac Visor ultimate, and Urk and Kerfluffle fall. Davem trying his best to resurrect, but the payload is stalled for the moment.
Trying to stall, trying to juke out that damage. Hard to juke the Genji Gash. Cheng will fall though, and the payload will halt.
Events going down with Tracer ultimate. Chris popping off. 4 characters, 5 characters down for Oregon. It looks like they are going to be incapable of pushing it forward, I think, as ASU has finally got their stuff together and decided to start defending on Junkertown.
It seems they do not want this match to get drawn out much longer than it has to. Looking to put an end to things here if they can. If Oregon keeps getting up to sneaky shenanigans, they might have another chance into this.
Possibly. Chris, a little bit of an overextension right there as Genji dives on top of him, but no, he eliminates him 1v1 with ease. ADHD, headshot once again, and 4 members are down once more for Oregon as Arizona is slowly pushing the payload back to the first point.
All right, now Oregon having trouble leaving their spawn. Snipers kind of covering that area. ADHD, proving my point.
Once again, Chris with Scatter Arrow, ADHD, they have got that spawn down pat. Nobody is getting out there alive, unless, of course, you're Genji and you try and flank, but reaction times really good for Arizona State as RoboCrab is trying his best to stop them.
We got the Ana boost on that Hanzo here. He's got to find something. Looking for that 7,000 damage Scatter Arrow, and he hits nothing for the entire duration.
I mean, they're still not on the payload, so he doesn't necessarily have to hit something. But that Dragon ultimate right there, diving through, immediately eliminating Urk and Kerfluffle. They've got 20 seconds left, and the payload is pushing back.
Just one of those locations you cannot stand against a fully charged Hanzo ultimate. Just nowhere to go. Goodbye, Evans. We knew thee well.
DJ Dobro hitting that sleep dart on Tracer. Not an easy thing to do, but DJ Dobro making it look easy. Chrono Dota with the backdoor Zenyatta trying their best. They messed up Oregon, and they were incapable of taking anything away from Arizona State.
And that is going to be it for this set. Arizona with a convincing 4-0 victory over Oregon State. I feel we've kind of beat this animal to death here, but what are your big takeaways from this one, Ninja?
ADHD specifically, his headshot game right there, as you can see, 3 consecutively is flawless. ADHD is the main character, or the main player specifically for the defense, or the, oh my gosh, for the DPS set for Arizona State. He just really ties it all together. He's my player of the day for this matchup between these two teams.
Hard to argue with that logic. ADHD looking very, very strong, doing some incredible work. So I know whatever Twitch chat was talking about with Chrono Data, honestly, I had to say he would be a fool to want to go to UCLA when he's got this kind of team at his back here at ASU. Like, maybe the strongest team in this league, them against UCLA is going to be the match of the PACG, potentially.
I completely agree, specifically because they are in the same division, so they will be playing against each other for realsies, not a show match. They're actually, going to be fighting against one another for who's going to be progressing into this tournament sometime soon, not quite sure when. Here we see a quick map overview, seeing that clean 1-0 hold on Eichenwald, not allowing Oregon to cap the point at all. Volskaya Industries in similar fashion. Lijiang Tower, where they got stalled a little bit on their 99% cap for about 20%, and then immediately retook it, and Junkertown, which we just barely finished watching, as you guys already know the result of that.
The red tells the whole story. It was ASU from the start to the finish. Oregon, they had some moments of brilliance in there, specifically on Lijiang. They had some good moments there. Shows that they're a team that can compete here in the PACG, just maybe not against ASU specifically. They're in a tough division to be in.
It's definitely the harder of the two, in my opinion, simply because USC, who's really, really good, UCLA, also fantastic, and Arizona State, as you guys just got done seeing, is ridiculously powerful. Things have just been so strong in this South Division, specifically in our PACG Overwatch tournament.
All right, well, I think that's about all we can say about our matches here today. So let's go ahead and round things off, close things out. First off, giving a special little thanks to our production crew who has done all these cool things like our map selection, graphics, and made this all possible for us. So thank you guys in the room next to me.
Oh, absolutely. The production team for the PACG is just phenomenal. Everything that they do, the man hours that we all put in, everybody that does this is volunteers. Everything that we do has just been so much fun. We have had an absolute blast making this tournament for you guys. And last but not least, thank you all, the viewers, for coming by and enjoying some great games of Overwatch with us. It has been a blast for me. How about you, Sleek?
I have had a wonderful time. I hope I get a chance to come here and do it again. As much as I love Rocket League, this has been an absolute blast. But speaking of our other games, don't forget to tune in tomorrow for League of Legends, which will air at the same time. We'll have some wonderful games there as well. So with that, I believe we'll hope to see you next week. I am Archie Sleek. You can follow me at a fake Twitter they make up every broadcast.
You don't have Twitter. Actually, me too. So my name is Seth White Ninja, joined here by, as you mentioned, Archie Sleek. Thank you guys so much for stopping by for week 3 of our Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers Overwatch broadcast. We hope to see you guys next week, same day, same time, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you all so much for dropping by. That's been us. Have a great night, everybody.
And goodbye.